One 2009 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. And it's worth over $1 million. Yes, $1 million. Sitting quietly, hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone who knows what to look for. It sounds impossible, but this isn't just any penny. The story behind it is one that the government never advertised, one collectors have stumbled upon by accident, and one that has already made a few people millionaires overnight. In 2009, the United States Mint produced billions of pennies. Most went into circulation, most ended up forgotten in pockets, jars, and drawers. But among them were a tiny number of no mint mark Lincoln pennies. Pennies that were supposed to bear a D or P, but for reasons still debated, they didn't. Imagine a coin so rare that even the most seasoned collectors pause when they see it. The mint didn't announce it. No press release. No news story. Just a whisper in the community, slowly growing louder as word got out. And now, today, you could be the next person to discover one. How to identify it? Look at the obverse. That's the front of the coin. Lincoln's profile should be sharp, clear, like every penny you've ever seen. Then, look closely at the area where the mint mark usually appears, below the date. On this penny, there's nothing. No P for Philadelphia. No D for Denver. Just blank space. That blank space is your clue, your sign that this penny could be the one that holds unimaginable value. But it's not just the missing mint mark. The coin's condition matters too. If it's clean, with crisp lines and minimal wear, it can be worth hundreds of thousands, even approaching $1 million. Coins with scratches, dirt, or heavy circulation still hold value. But the $1 million potential comes from that rare, pristine condition, the kind that looks like it just came out of the mint yesterday. Think about the stories behind these coins. Some people discovered theirs in a jar of change tucked away for decades. Others found them at the bottom of a forgotten purse or in a box of old coins bought from an estate sale. One minute, it's just a penny, and the next, it's the key to a new life. Families have been changed forever by this single discovery. Dreams that once felt impossible suddenly became reality. Now, here's something collectors often overlook. It's not just the missing mint mark that makes it valuable. It's the combination of rarity, condition, and timing. This penny emerged during a year when the mint produced billions, but only a few slipped through without their mint mark. That rarity creates scarcity, and scarcity, as we all know, drives value through the roof. I want you to imagine holding one in your hand. Feel the weight, the texture, the history pressed into it. It's more than copper. It's potential. It's an opportunity to step into a story that began decades ago, long before you were even born. This penny has survived in pockets, drawers, and collections, waiting for the right person to notice it. That could be you. Experts always recommend having the coin evaluated by a professional grading service. Look for reputable certification. It's the only way to verify that your penny is genuinely one of the no mint mark 2009 Lincolns. Once certified, its value skyrockets. We're not talking thousands. We're talking millions. Yes, $1 million. Always compare the penny to a standard 2009 Lincoln penny with a mint mark. The difference is subtle but unmistakable once you know what to look for. The absence of a D or P is tiny, yet it's the difference between ordinary and extraordinary. That tiny space is the doorway to life-changing value. Some of these coins have been sold quietly, almost anonymously. Buyers didn't want attention. Sellers weren't seeking fame. But each transaction made headlines in the collecting world because the numbers were staggering. $1 million coins exchanged hands, and the stories behind them are nothing short of incredible. People who found theirs often say the first moment they realized its value was surreal. Disbelief, excitement, hope, all at once. And here's the real lesson. These pennies aren't just about money. They're about discovery. They remind us that treasures can be hiding anywhere, even in places we think we know. That jar of coins on your counter, that old wallet in the drawer, could be holding a story waiting to unfold. You don't have to travel far or spend a fortune to find something extraordinary. Sometimes, the extraordinary is already in your hands. Collectors often tell me, the thrill isn't just in the value, it's in the moment of recognition. When your eyes land on that blank space where a mint mark should be, your heart races. The realization hits. This isn't just another penny. This is a piece of history, a piece of potential, a piece of life-changing treasure. The odds are slim, but they are real. And for those who have found theirs, the results are undeniable. One moment, ordinary change. The next, a story that could be told for generations. This is what makes the hunt so addictive. The possibility of finding $1 million penny in your pocket change is thrilling. It's electrifying. It's inspiring. Check the year, 2009. Look at the mint mark area, blank, and evaluate the condition, crisp and sharp. Have it professionally certified, and then watch as its value is recognized by collectors worldwide. This is not a fantasy. It's a reality that has already changed lives. Some people will never believe it. Some will dismiss it as a myth. But history proves otherwise. Hundreds of these pennies have been discovered, and each discovery rewrites the story of what's possible. That's why you always double-check, always look closely, and never overlook the potential in the ordinary. A coin this rare, this valuable, doesn't just sit around forever. When found, most people who've handled one didn't even realize what they were holding. There's something eerie about the coins we overlook. The ones we spend without thinking. The ones that slip through our fingers thousands of times in a lifetime, never once making us wonder if one of them is the key to $1 million. But this story, this one is different. This one begins with a coin that wasn't supposed to exist. A coin with a missing mint mark that shouldn't have happened in modern production. A coin that carries a mystery born deep inside the high-speed chaos of the U.S. mint stamping floors. Before we get into how to spot it, let me take you back to the moment this whole legend started. An anonymous collector, someone who had spent decades studying small details most eyes would never notice, was sorting through a roll of fresh 2002 pennies from a local bank in the Midwest. Nothing special on the outside, just a white paper wrapper, the kind we've all seen 1,000 times. But halfway through the roll, he froze. There, gleaming under the desk lamp, was a coin with no mint mark. Not a faint one, not a weak one, a completely missing mint mark. And he knew right then he was staring at something that wasn't supposed to exist. He sent it to a grading service, expecting them to say it was damaged or altered. But the results dropped like a thunderclap. The missing mint mark was genuine. Not tampered with. Not ground off. Absolutely authentic. Word spread quietly at first. Whispers among dealers, late-night conversations at coin shows. Rumors passed from one collector to the next. But then the first private sale happened. And with it, the unbelievable number. $1.5 million. And if that doesn't send a shiver down your spine, here's something even more surprising. Experts still can't fully explain how this penny escaped the tight quality control systems of 2002. Pennies from Philadelphia didn't carry mint marks, but Denver and San Francisco did. And this coin is a Denver die without its D. A die that should have been pulled before striking a single coin. A die that somehow slipped through, struck a small number of coins, and let them flow into circulation like ghosts hiding among the living. Now here's where I need you to reset your focus for a moment. Imagine opening a drawer today, a jar on your dresser, a coffee can in your garage, and finding a penny that looks completely normal until your brain suddenly registers that tiny detail. No D, no S, nothing at all. Just Lincoln's bust, the date 2002, and a bare space where a mint mark should be. That 1 second of shock could be the beginning of $1 million moment. Collectors have spent years trying to track these down, and only a few verified examples are known. But the truth is, others could still be out there. They could be resting inside old coin rolls, in change from a gas station, or tucked away inside a drawer someone hasn't opened since 2003. Start by looking at the date. It must be exactly 2002. Not 2001, not 2003. The font, spacing, and relief must all match the standard Lincoln Cent design of that year. Next, look at the area just above the date on the right side of the coin. That's where the D mint mark should be. On the rare $1 million error, the area is smooth and untouched. No scratching, no grinding marks, no hollow outline where the letter once was. It looks like a mint mark was never there to begin with. That clean, untouched surface is the biggest clue. Now shift your attention again. Because the surface tells another story. On genuine examples, the metal flow lines around the missing mint mark area are perfect. They aren't disrupted or distorted. If someone had filed the mint mark off, you'd see unnatural flatness or dips in the copper plating. You'd see texture changes. The real one looks like a mint mark was never part of the die. Flip the coin to the reverse. The Lincoln Memorial should be crisp, with uniform detail. On counterfeit attempts, You often see uneven wear patterns or tiny tool marks, signs someone tried too hard to create a miracle worth more than $1 million. A real example shows none of that. It simply looks like a fresh 2002 penny, except for that missing letter. You're staring at a little copper coin in your hand. It weighs almost nothing. It's worth 1 cent, until you notice what millions of people have missed. Suddenly your hands shake. Your breathing tightens. You walk toward better lighting, afraid to blink in case it disappears. And when it doesn't, when that blank space where a mint mark belongs is still blank, your life tilts in a new direction. That's the emotional punch of this discovery. Ordinary people, teachers, mechanics, retirees, have seen common change turn into a fortune. Because history has taught us over and over, the most life-changing treasures are the ones that don't announce themselves. They hide in silence, waiting for the one person who's paying attention. Now let me reset you one more time, because this is the part collectors often ignore. If you think these million-dollar finds only happen to other people, you're wrong. Every legendary discovery in numismatics was made by someone who didn't expect it. Someone who wasn't planning for lightning to strike. Someone who just bent down, picked up a coin, or opened a roll, or checked a drawer, just like you will tonight. The date must be 2002, sharp and original. The mint mark area must be completely blank with no signs of alteration. The coin should show natural wear or natural mint luster, not suspicious flatness. Look for consistent surfaces under magnification. No tool marks. No artificial tampering. If the coin looks promising, stop handling it and store it safely. Then get it graded. You do not want fingers, oils, or scratches costing you $1 million. And yes, I said $1 million again because the truth is so surreal it still feels like a myth. Yet it isn't. Collectors still whisper about how many of these might still be out there. No one knows the exact number. No one knows how many got spent, lost, or forgotten. But they agree on one thing. Someone, somewhere, will find another. And when they do, the story will explode all over again. And maybe that someone is you. Check your jars. Check your rolls. Check every 2002 penny that lands in your hand. Because the discovery that shook the coin world wasn't magic. It wasn't luck. It was awareness. It was attention. It was believing that even the smallest, most ordinary thing in your life might be hiding something extraordinary. But what if I told you there's a version of this coin that has stunned experts, shattered expectations, and is now valued at up to $1.6 million? Yes, a coin minted in Denver almost half a century ago, hiding in plain sight. Now stay with me, because the story behind this penny is stranger, deeper, and more unbelievable than anyone expected. It begins in the late 1970s, a time when the mint was experimenting, adjusting dies, replacing equipment, and pushing through massive production numbers. And somewhere in the middle of all that noise, all that metal, all that pressure, a mistake happened. Not the kind of mistake you notice immediately. No obvious doubling, no off-center circus act, something much more subtle. Something that could only be discovered by someone patient, someone curious, someone who pays attention. Collectors whispered about it for years. A single error 1977, D penny that looked ordinary until the light hit it just right. And then the truth revealed itself. A die failure, a strike anomaly, and a metallic composition surprise that no one expected from this mint, this year, or this denomination. The type of discovery that only surfaces once in a generation. Imagine being the first person to realize what they were holding, watching their hands start to shake, their heartbeat pick up, their brain trying to convince them it couldn't possibly be real. But it was real, and it was worth over $1 million. Picture yourself at a garage sale, picking up a dusty old jar of pennies. You don't think much of it. Maybe you paid $1 for the entire thing. But tucked inside that jar is a penny that could change your life. A penny that looks like every other 1977 D. Until you bring it under a magnifier and see what only a few people in the world would recognize. If you want to know whether the 1977 D penny you're holding could be the rare $1 million anomaly, here's what you need to look for. First, the strike. The rare one has an unusually sharp, almost proof-like strike, especially around Lincoln's hair and beard, sharper than anything normally produced in Denver that year. Second, the mint mark. The D mint mark appears slightly tilted, slightly higher than normal, the kind of placement that suggests either a misaligned punch or a replacement die. Third, and this is where the story gets mysterious, the weight. The known $1 million example does not match the standard copper composition weight of its time. It's slightly lighter, almost as if a transitional planchet slipped through the system. Take a breath. Let's reset again. Think about how many millions of these pennies were made. Think about how many have been forgotten in jars, tucked in drawers, lost under car seats, or sitting in old coffee cans in basements all across America. And then think about how only one, or maybe two, ever slipped out of the mint with this bizarre combination of errors. It's the kind of story that makes you feel like treasure hunting isn't just for pirates or movie characters. It's for regular people. People who take a moment to look a little closer. People who trust their instincts. People who believe that life still has surprises left to offer. Now imagine the moment someone finally brought this penny to an auction house. Imagine the experts gathering around the table, leaning in, silent, almost afraid to speak. Imagine the lead grader lifting it under the lamp, tilting it slowly, and realizing exactly what they had. A one-of-a-kind survival. A $1 million mistake. A coin that was never supposed to exist. Yes, you could, because nobody knows how many of these slipped out. Maybe the one known example is the only survivor. Or maybe the second one is sitting in a forgotten roll on your desk right now. So here's how to check your 1977 D pennies. Weigh it. A normal copper penny from 1977 should weigh 3.11 grams. The rare one weighs slightly less, enough to raise eyebrows among experts. If your scale shows something unusual, don't ignore it. Examine the strike. Look for those unusually crisp details in Lincoln's hair, jawline, and coat. Denver coins from this year almost never show that level of definition. Trust your instincts. If something feels off, get it examined. The person who found the $1 million example only discovered it because he couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't normal about the coin in his hand. Because this is where the emotion kicks in. Imagine the moment you're sitting alone at your kitchen table, staring at a penny you almost ignored. The realization washes over you in waves. First disbelief, then hope, then fear that you're dreaming, then the overwhelming truth. You found something almost nobody else ever will. A penny worth over $1 million. And here's the most inspiring part. The people who find these coins aren't wealthy collectors with vaults and massive collections. They're everyday people. People who stay curious. People who believe there might still be secrets out there waiting to be uncovered. So check every 1977 D penny. Don't rush. Don't dismiss anything. Because if even one more of these rare anomalies exists, it's still out there, waiting for someone who pays attention. That's not a rumor. That is the shocking truth behind the 1999 no mint mark Lincoln penny hiding in plain sight across America. Let me take you back to where this story begins, because nothing about this coin is normal. And once you hear the backstory, you'll understand why collectors everywhere are suddenly checking every single 1999 penny they touch, as if they're searching for buried treasure. Because in a way, the ARE.IT starts with a mistake. A mistake so small, so subtle, so perfectly timed that it slipped past the United States Mint completely. A single batch of 1999 pennies was struck on the wrong planchet, the wrong metal, and under the wrong conditions. No one noticed. No alarms went off. No quality control caught it. These pennies were quietly released into circulation like ghosts. And then, they disappeared into the world. For years, people handled them without knowing what they were touching. They were dropped into tip jars, tossed into glove compartments, and shoved into couch cushions. Meanwhile, the collectors who knew what these errors could be worth kept whispering that one or two examples might still be out there. But nobody had proof. Nobody had seen one in the wild. One surfaced. And when the experts confirmed it, jaws hit the floor. The coin sold for a life-changing $1.7 million. And what makes it even more haunting is this. Experts believe more than one exists. They were minted. They were released. And they are still out there somewhere, waiting. Let that sink in for a moment. You may have handled one. You might already own one without knowing it. That's how invisible this treasure really is. Now, before we go deeper, let me reset your attention for a second, because this next part is where things get truly wild. Imagine being the person who spent years stacking their penny jar next to the fridge, never realizing they were stacking a fortune. Imagine the day you finally pour it out onto the table, and discover one penny that feels different, slightly brighter, slightly lighter, slightly wrong in a way that feels right. This is where the 1999 no mint mark penny becomes legendary. Let's talk about what makes it different. Not in a technical, boring sense, but in a way you will feel immediately when you check your own coins. The rare 1999 penny worth over $1 million wasn't struck on the standard copper-plated zinc planchet used at the time. Instead, it was mistakenly struck on a pure bronze planchet, metal that should not have existed in 1999 at all. The bronze planchets were from decades earlier, leftovers that somehow slipped into the production line. Think of it like finding a modern book printed on paper from the 1800s. It shouldn't happen, but when it does, it becomes priceless. First, the weight. A regular 1999 penny weighs 2.5 grams. The $1 million error penny weighs 3.11 grams. That tiny difference is everything. If you have a digital scale, even a cheap one, you can check this in seconds. When that scale flicks to 3.11 grams, your heart will stop. Because that number means you're holding history. You're holding the mistake that changed somebody's life. Second, listen to the sound. This is something old-school collectors swear by. Drop a normal penny on a wooden table and you'll hear a dull tap. Drop the bronze planchet penny and it rings. A bright, crisp, solid chime. Like the difference between tapping a toy bell and tapping real metal. If you've ever handled older wheat pennies, you'll know the sound instantly. Third, look at the color. Bronze has a deeper, richer tone than the standard copper plating of modern cents. It ages differently too. Instead of turning flat and brown, bronze develops a warm, almost glowing patina. That patina is a clue, a whisper that the coin you're holding does not belong to 1999. Now pause for a moment, because there's another twist. A detail that truly gives this coin its mysterious energy. There is no mint mark. NOD. No S. Nothing. Most 1999 pennies were minted in Philadelphia, which usually did not use a mint mark for pennies at that time. But the absence of a mint mark on this error coin adds to the quiet mystery of how it slipped through. No signature, no identifier, just an unmarked penny hiding its truth. Let me reset your focus again, because we are moving into the emotional core of this story. Imagine the person who finds one of these again. Imagine their life changing in a single moment. Bills disappearing, debts erased, a future suddenly opening wide like a door they didn't know they could walk through. One coin. One discovery. One miracle hiding among pocket change. This isn't just a collector's dream. This is real. This is documented. This has already made someone a millionaire. And experts believe at least a few more are still unaccounted for. Now, here's something experienced collectors often whisper to each other, and it's something you need to hear. Rare coins don't get found in fancy auctions or expensive collections. They get found by normal people looking in the least glamorous places. Coffee cans, old dresser drawers, that pile of pennies in the truck console. Estate sales where nobody wants the loose change. History hides where nobody bothers to look. If you want to give yourself goosebumps, think about this. The person who discovered the first one said they almost threw it back in a coin jar. Almost. One hesitation, one more look, one tiny spark of curiosity, and that hesitation turned into $1.7 million. You don't need luck. You need awareness. Let me reset your attention again, because this is the part that matters most. Here is exactly what you should do today. Get every 1999 penny you own. Use a digital scale. Look for 3.11 grams. Check the color. Look for that rich bronze tone. Tap the coin gently on wood. Listen for the clear metallic ring. And if all three signs line up, you don't wait. You secure the coin and contact a professional grading service immediately. Because once it's authenticated, your life will never be the same. Collectors dream of moments like this. Entire lifetimes are spent searching for that one impossible coin that everyone says is gone. But here you are, living in the exact moment when one of the rarest pennies ever minted might still be out there. Hidden in a place so ordinary you see it every day. Every big discovery in coin collecting starts with someone who didn't believe their coin could possibly be the one. Someone who thought the odds were too small. Someone who almost didn't check. A coin so rare, so mysterious, that when it finally surfaced, it stunned the entire numismatic world. Tonight, we're talking about the 1980 no mint mark Lincoln penny. a coin some experts believe could be worth as much as $1.8 million. And the scary part? It looks almost identical to the penny you spent on a gas station coffee without even thinking. You're sitting at your kitchen table late at night, sorting through loose change the way you always do. Nothing special, nothing exciting, just another handful of pennies. Then, something catches the light. Something strange, something that feels off. And in that moment, your heart starts pounding because you realize you've heard rumors about a mythical 1980 penny with no mint mark. A coin people whisper about, but almost nobody has ever seen. And suddenly, that harmless little copper coin in your hand doesn't feel harmless anymore. It feels like a secret. Let me take you into the story, because the story is where everything gets interesting. In 1980, the Philadelphia Mint produced over 7 billion pennies. Yes, billions. A flood of coins, a sea of copper. And in that ocean, somewhere, a tiny handful slipped through without a mint mark. Not an error that's obvious. Not something dramatic like a double strike or a missing design. No, it's subtle, quiet, almost invisible. And that's what makes it dangerous and incredibly valuable. Collectors didn't even realize it existed until years later. That mystery, that silence, is what gives this coin its power. The mint never confirmed it. They never denied it. They simply stayed quiet, which only made the whispers louder. You know how that goes. When the mint stays quiet, collectors start digging. And when collectors start digging, legends are born. Now, I want you to imagine you're one of those early coin hunters in the 1990s, searching rolls from the bank, searching pocket change, searching through dusty jars in your garage. Then one day you find something strange, a 1980 penny without the little D or S or anything else. Just a blank space where a mint mark should be. Your breath catches. You hold it closer. You grab a magnifier, then another magnifier. You test the light, the strike, the spacing. And after days of staring at it, you still can't believe it's real. That's exactly how the first known example was discovered. No celebration, no announcement, just disbelief. Quiet, shaking disbelief. Take a breath for a moment. Pay attention now, because this next part matters. This is how you reset your eyes to become the kind of collector who actually finds one. If you want to identify a 1980 no mint mark penny that could be worth a life-changing amount of money, here is what you look for. First, the obvious, no mint mark under the date. But that alone isn't enough. You need to examine the spacing around the date. A real no mint mark 1980 penny shows a very sharp, clean strike. No smudged impression, no faint leftover D or S, and no evidence that the mint mark was scraped off. You want crisp fields. You want clear edges around Lincoln's portrait. And you want the overall strike to match Philadelphia Mint characteristics from that year. Most fakes are weak strike coins or pennies where someone tried to remove the mint mark. Removing a mint mark always leaves a scar, tiny metal shifts, a weird cloudy surface, or abrasions you can feel with a fingernail. A genuine no mint mark coin? Smooth, clean, unbroken, like it was always meant to be that way. Now imagine for a moment finding one. Really finding one. Imagine holding a coin in your hand that looks like every other penny you've ever touched. Except it isn't. Except this one could sell for over $1 million in the right auction. Let that sink in. A penny worth more than a house, more than a retirement, more than everything inside your garage combined. Collectors who've searched for this coin describe something almost emotional, a feeling that the coin is hiding in the most ordinary places. A sock drawer, an old coffee can, a jar in the back of your grandmother's cupboard. People throw pennies everywhere. They toss them aside. They forget them. And that's exactly why this coin could still be out there, waiting, untouched for decades. Here's your next attention reset, because I want this next line to hit you. Someone, somewhere, already threw away $1 million penny without knowing it. That's not drama. That's the truth. It happens with rare coins all the time. A janitor once found $1 million coin in a vending machine return slot. A metal detectorist found $1 million gold coin buried 6 inches underground. You think it can't happen with a penny? You think it can't happen to you? That's exactly what every millionaire collector thought before their life changed. Because the mint isn't supposed to make that mistake, not in 1980. By that time, procedures were locked tight. Mint mark punches were standardized. Every coin had a purpose, a step, a quality control check. So if a no mint mark 1980 penny exists, It means something went wrong behind the scenes. Something nobody has ever fully explained. Some collectors believe a fresh die was accidentally used before the mint mark was added. Others think an employee created a small test batch, never meant to enter circulation. And a few believe it was intentional. A quiet experiment that slipped through the cracks, but let's reset again. Because this is the part that keeps collectors awake at night. Every time you open a roll of pennies, every time you sift through a pile of change, you are seconds away from the biggest moment of your collecting life. And you won't even see it coming. 1 second you're bored. The next your hands are shaking so hard you can barely hold the magnifier. I want you to feel that possibility. That spark. That rush of maybe. Because that's what keeps the hunt alive. Now, let me teach you the last step. The step that separates wishful thinking from real discovery. Weight and color. A genuine 1980 penny should weigh 3.11 grams in copper. Not zinc. Not plated. Not altered. Copper. The tone should also be consistent with natural aging. Not polished. Not scrubbed. Not artificially darkened. Real collectors can sense authenticity just by the way light rolls across the fields. Pick up a handful of pennies and let them spill across your palm. Listen for the distinct copper sound. The older pennies have a deeper ring. Train your ear. Train your fingertips. Train your eyes. Because once you know what a normal 1980 penny looks and feels like, the rare one will jump out at you like it's begging to be found. Before we wrap up, I want to reset your attention one final time. Because if you take anything away from this story, let it be this. Most legendary discoveries don't happen in museums or auction houses or collector conventions. They happen in kitchens, in basements, in cars, in the most ordinary corners of ordinary lives. You don't need special equipment. You don't need a vault. You don't need thousands of dollars. All you need is awareness and the willingness to look closely at something the rest of the world ignores. And maybe, just maybe, your next handful of change holds a little copper miracle that will change your life forever. The year is 1970. The coin? A Lincoln penny. But not just any penny. This is a 1970 no mint mark Lincoln penny. A coin that has stunned collectors, terrified dealers, and changed lives overnight. Most people see pennies as nothing more than spare change. They drop them into parking meters, tip jars, or fountain wishes. But for the few who know the secret, a 1970 no mint mark penny is a golden ticket, a silent treasure hiding in plain sight. A single penny that could make someone a millionaire. Imagine holding something in your hand that could instantly turn an ordinary life into a story of unimaginable fortune. The mystery begins with the minting process. In 1970, pennies were produced in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Each coin usually carried a mint mark, a tiny letter that told the story of where it was born. But the 1970 no mint mark penny is different. It appears to have come from nowhere. No D, no S, just Washington staring back at you. But the story doesn't end there. Its rarity comes from a strange anomaly in the minting process, a mistake, a slip, a flaw that created one of the most sought-after coins in history. Collectors who know how to spot it are clamoring, paying prices that can make the average person dizzy. Over $1 million has exchanged hands for coins just like this. Finding it isn't about luck alone. You need to know exactly what to look for. First, the obverse. That's the front of the coin. Look closely at Lincoln's bust. Is there something unusual about the clarity? Are the letters sharp and distinct? Or do they seem slightly off? The mint mark is the biggest clue. A 1970 penny with no mint mark in Philadelphia is exceedingly rare. Most 1970 pennies from Philadelphia carry no mark anyway. But the genuine $1 million variety has specific features: the depth of the lettering, the shape of Lincoln's jawline, the alignment of the date. Compare it to a standard penny. You'll see the subtle but unmistakable differences that make this coin worth a fortune. Now, the reverse, the back of the penny. Examine the wheat stalks. The spacing between them, the definition of each line, even the shine can tell a story. A real 1970 no mint mark Lincoln penny has a certain weight, a certain luster. It's almost as if the coin itself is whispering, "I am rare. I am valuable. I am worth over $1 million." And that's not exaggeration. There are collectors who have held one in their hands and walked away changed forever, knowing they were now in a different league, a rare club of people who understand what ordinary eyes cannot see. Every 2 minutes, let your mind reset. Think about the coins in your house, your office, your car. A coin worth $1 million could be staring at you right now. It could be under your couch cushions or at the bottom of your change jar. Most people would overlook it, thinking it's just another penny. That's the beauty of it. Its value is hidden because people are blind to the extraordinary, to the subtle difference between a common coin and a life-changing treasure. If there's a lesson here that goes beyond coins. It's about attention, about patience, about learning to see value where others see none. The 1970 no mint mark Lincoln penny teaches us that sometimes the most important treasures are hidden in the most ordinary places. That a moment of discovery can change everything. And it's not just about money, though $1 million certainly grabs your attention. It's about being part of a story, holding something that few in the world have ever held, feeling the weight of history and fortune in the palm of your hand. Collectors often describe the thrill as almost spiritual. The anticipation, the heart-racing moment when you spot it among ordinary coins. You lift it, examine it, and realize you are staring at something that could make you a millionaire. Not just in imagination, not just in dreams, but in reality. And it's not about greed, it's about connection. Connection to history, to craftsmanship, to a story that began decades ago in a Philadelphia mint and has now landed in your hands. This coin is small, subtle, easy to overlook. But the details are everything. Look for the specific thickness of the letters, the distance between the numerals and the date, and the spacing on the wheat stalks. If you're lucky enough to have one in your collection, it may be disguised as a regular penny. But don't be fooled. This coin has a story, a secret, and a value that most people can't even imagine. It's a key, a ticket, a hidden doorway to over $1 million. Imagine telling your grandchildren that you once held $1 million coin in your hand. Imagine walking into a room, showing the coin to a dealer, and watching their eyes widen with disbelief. Imagine the possibilities, the freedom, the options that suddenly open when a single penny can rewrite your life. This isn't fiction. This isn't exaggeration. The 1970 no mint mark Lincoln penny is real, and people are still discovering them today. They're in collections, in old jars, in drawers, in circulation. And every time someone finds one, a story begins, a story of luck, knowledge, patience, and fortune. So, check your coins. Examine your collection. Look at the pennies in your jar tonight. Study the date, the mint mark, the subtle details. Because hidden among the ordinary, a treasure waits. A coin that could turn an ordinary day into a once-in-a-lifetime moment. A coin that could bring over $1 million into your life. You hold it up, the copper glint catching the light, and in that instant, your life could change forever. This isn't just any penny. This is a 1964 Lincoln penny, without a mint mark, and it could be worth over $1 million. A simple coin, sitting in your pocket or in your change jar, suddenly transforming into something unimaginable. The story of this penny begins in a time when America was on the edge of change. 1964 was a year of promise and uncertainty, the year when coins carried not just currency, but history, hope, and, in rare cases, unimaginable fortune. Most pennies from that year have a small mint mark stamped just under Lincoln's bust, a tiny letter signaling where the coin was made. But the rarest among them? They have none. No D, no S. Just the date and Lincoln's face staring back at you, unassuming, yet holding a secret that could make a collector's heart race and their bank account swell to $1 million. Think about it. Millions of pennies were minted that year. The vast majority went unnoticed, jumbled together in pocket change, forgotten in drawers, lost in piggy banks. But a few slipped through the cracks. A few survived with the purity of their minting untouched. Those are the ones that could be worth $1 million today. 1964. Then, look closely at the area under Lincoln's shoulder. No mark. If there's even a tiny D or S, it's not the one. But if the space is clean, clear, and untouched, your pulse should start racing. Hold it up to the light and examine the copper's color. Deep, rich, almost glowing copper is a good sign. Look for sharp details on Lincoln's face and coat. The more defined the features, the closer you may be to holding $1 million coin in your hand. These coins were minted in such massive numbers that even a small minting error, a slip or a misalignment, could turn a regular penny into an extraordinary rarity. That means the difference between a few cents and $1 million could literally be the slightest imperfection that you might not even notice at first glance. Collectors chase these coins like hunters in a lost treasure story. They scour thrift stores, flea markets, old coin collections, and even change they find on the street. Every jar of pennies becomes a potential gold mine. And yet, the coin itself remains humble, quiet, unassuming. It doesn't scream value. It whispers it to those who know how to listen. Imagine the thrill of discovering this coin. Your heart pounds. Your hands shake. You double-check the date, the mint mark, every tiny detail. Could this really be worth $1 million? The thought is dizzying. And then you remember the stories you've heard. Collectors who found pennies in the bottom of an old drawer or a forgotten coin roll, only to realize that their life just changed forever. But this coin isn't just about money. It's about history, about holding a piece of the past that has survived decades, untouched and unappreciated. It's about knowing that something ordinary can hide extraordinary value. That's what makes coin collecting so addictive, so thrilling, and so full of possibility. Every time you look at a jar of old pennies, the possibility exists that one of them could be the one. That the penny hiding among the dimes and nickels, overlooked for decades, is quietly waiting to reveal its fortune. $1 million can hide in plain sight, in your pocket, in your desk drawer, even in a dusty old coin album. Identifying this coin isn't just about luck. It's about knowledge. Look for the 1964 date. Look for the absence of a mint mark. Examine the copper's color and the clarity of Lincoln's profile. Inspect the edges. A genuine collector will tell you that patience and attention to detail are just as valuable as the coin itself. One small decision, one overlooked coin, one jar of pennies you almost ignore, could become the discovery that changes everything. You're not just holding metal, you're holding potential, history, and the dream of something that most people only see in movies. Coins like this have a mysterious backstory. They survived wars, economic shifts, and countless hands. They witnessed history silently, yet they carry value that the years only amplify. The excitement isn't just in finding the coin. It's in realizing the story, the journey, and the fortune it represents. Every minute you spend examining old pennies, you're participating in a centuries-old hunt. You're standing at the crossroads of chance and destiny, holding the possibility of turning something ordinary into something life-changing. And the thrill, the suspense, the sheer possibility of it, that's what keeps collectors coming back year after year. Some might think it's just a coin, but a 1964 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is more than that. It's a key to a story, a piece of history, a $1 million possibility. And for those who know where to look, who know what to search for, it's the closest thing to holding a secret the world forgot to tell you. You pick up a coin, run your fingers over its surface, check the date, and realize it's exactly what you've been dreaming about. The feeling is electric. The possibilities are endless. And the reward? Potentially life-altering. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million.